Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the PHNX Sun Devils podcast live show brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download today using code PHNX and receive $150 in free bets when you place just $1 or more on any football game this week. I'm Shane Dieffenbach, joined as always by Brittany Bowyer. Brittany, how are you feeling on this lovely Tuesday?
Well, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I feel that.
I mean, I feel like you can just kind of hear how I am not sick. This is just about how my life is going right now.
So you had a weekend.
Yeah, I had a weekend.
Yeah. How about the fights? You went to the UFC fights.
The fights were absolutely awesome. Okay, so I don't know how I ended up with this luck, and unfortunately, the same luck didn't carry over when Lauren was in the octagon. But I will say, that woman is an absolute warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Not very many people expected her to make it to almost through the fourth round. And not very many women make it through the fourth round. She's never been. That was her very first time ever being knocked out. So I still think she had a great performance, and I was very proud of her for it. She's not so thrilled.
Yeah.
She was really upset. But the rest of the fights were absolutely amazing. Back to my luck that I got. I rolled up in my little scooter. So I brought my scooter. And this guy that was in line behind us was like, "Hey, we have 3 extra floor tickets, and we're not going to use them because they're for our company, and these people didn't come on the trip. So do you want them? We're just giving them away." And we were like, sure. Because, we had good seats. It's not like we had bad seats to start with, but we didn't have floor seats. So we got them, and then because I was on my scooter, we were, rolling up in there, and they were like, "Oh, well, we want you to be comfortable, and it will be hard for you to get in and out. So we're going to put you in these disability seats," which ended up being better than the other ones would have been anyways. So I had, this whole little box that was just all for me and my friends. It was awesome.
That's sweet. Yeah, Valentina Shevchenko, who Lauren Murphy fought, is a certified lethal weapon.
She is. And also the Volkanovski Ortega fight has got to be nominated at the end of the year. You know how they do top 10 fights for fight of the year?
Yeah.
That has to be in the nomination with the top 10.
The amount of times when you thought somebody was going to go down and the fight was going to be over, it was insane.
It was nuts.
Back and forth. Ortega looks awesome. But this is not a UFC podcast, unfortunately.
No.
So let's get into ASU football. We didn't have the opportunity to talk yesterday. We briefly touched on
sorry about that. I was on vacation for one day. I had that planned before I took this job. Yeah. So sorry, fans, but we're gonna make up for that today because we know you like to see our beautiful faces. Anyways.
Yeah, come on, look at this.
I had to show off my new Margaritaville shirt, even though you can't really see anything.
It's a good one.
Bright blue, but
well, so I actually got flamed on the live show. I wish you were there to protect me because I was a little
sorry, bud.
I was a little sad. Somebody came in and said, ASU played a clean game. What do you mean? But we prefaced it prior to when he said that by saying it was cleaner. It wasn't a clean game. There were still 7 penalties.
Okay, well, when you compare 7 to 16, that's less than half.
In comparison, it's fantastic.
If you want to look at it that way and actually break it down and be like, oh, well, statistically, I would be like, well, that's actually fabulous for ASU at this rate. But really, in realistic, it's not. Yeah. But for ASU.
Yeah, no turnovers. So there's clean.
Yeah.
That was great.
I was actually looking back at some of their stats. Ow, my arm. I was looking back at some of their stats over the weekend and breaking some stuff down. They really did not have very many flags in last year's games.
Yeah.
And I was looking back and seeing the numbers 4, 3, and I was shocked compared to this year when they're up all the way at 16. So,
for sure.
it's
you have to wonder if it got bad early, if that's affecting the mental status of these players, if they are so inclined to not want to. It's like your dad's looking over your shoulder when you're trying to work on a school project. You don't want to mess up. That their dad is Herm, and I think they're worried about committing these penalties, and with that worry in their brain causes more mental lapses, and I think that might be what's happening. Because Herm does not want to. I mean, no coach does, but especially Herm. Penalties are not a thing for an NFL coach.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. In saying the thing with the penalties last year, I feel like it might not necessarily be a true measure because there wasn't anything else to factor in terms of crowd noise and all that stuff. But still, that's really, really large jump when you
Yeah.
have a lot of returning players. So
Yeah,
it's like,
that's why I think it's such a big deal, is because of how we mentioned how many people came back, and the chemistry should be on point. Their experience, they've played in games. Most of them have played in games with fans before.
yeah.
And I wonder if it was just them getting used to, even though it was only 4 games without fans or something. But there's improvement where the penalty numbers are going down. They definitely did not beat themselves on Saturday.
No.
I thought it was a pretty complete game in terms of offense and defense playing well. I'm very, very glad that Darian Butler's injury doesn't look like it's going to be serious, because I was very scared when that happened. He was incredible. I wrote down so many times in the notes when I was watching the game how just amazing some of the plays he can make is. He's really like Jamal Adams to me, a college version of Jamal Adams. He's kind of a plug and play utility linebacker that can go wherever he wants, and man, he hits hard.
Yeah. You know, ASU really, from what I had saw in the first half, kind of relied a little bit more than I would have liked to have seen them on a couple big plays to move the ball down the field. And, I don't really feel the greatest about that.
And that's
It's
so
not
anti-Herm
something,
also.
yeah, it's not something that you really want to see
Yeah,
in
you
week
don't want to
1
depend on
against
that.
us. And granted, it's not like Colorado's defense is not strong, but still, it's not something that's necessarily comforting. Granted, what had happened the week before against BYU, they had the incredible number of turnovers, the penalties. Maybe I should have rephrased that. The incredible number of penalties and the turnovers that way. But they did have what was it? 2 interceptions and a turnover or a fumble in the game. So that's still a lot. That's still a lot of turnovers. They clean that part up, but I still don't want to see them rely on just a couple of big plays to get the ball down the field.
Definitely. The passing game was a lot better. One thing we touched on the show is somebody stepped up. Johnny Wilson stepped up, as we've been talking about for so long. A receiver has stepped up, and I'm curious to see if that is going to continue, if he is this guy for the Sun Devils. Because I really liked what I saw, and obviously being 6'7", and a young kid, he has the potential to be one of the best receivers in the pack, if not the country, in my opinion.
And I specifically remember a play Johnny Wilson made last year. It was an enormous catch, and it really showed off his athleticism and his ability to track the ball, find the ball, and really hold on to it the entire time, even in some really weird positions and coming down hard. And so I think it might have just taken a little bit of time for him to find his comfort level and his, I guess, I don't know what the word would be, but like the rust off. Gotta shake the rust off a little bit. And so maybe it's time for him. He's coming to fruition here, and things are coming forward. Elijah Badger, we saw him over the weekend for the first time.
Such good Elijah Badger sighting, man.
Yeah, so, I think that's also somebody who has the opportunity to really step up and contribute.
He's got the talent,
I just feel like he hasn't been seen as much. So, he's not necessarily, or he wasn't necessarily in everyone's minds as much to be someone in the conversation, but I think he's very quickly making himself going right to the front of the list.
It was really easy to get excited about this game, but at the same time, one thing that me and Braden were doing on the show is we kept having to tell ourselves, this is Colorado. This is Colorado. It's not the biggest victory, and the things that the Devils were able to pull off against a Colorado team that's frankly down on themselves. Finally, they broke that 8-quarter streak of not scoring. Was because it's Colorado, and you can't say this is a huge thing for the Devils, because it isn't a team that is going to give them. It's a team that shouldn't have given them any problems anyway.
They shouldn't have given them any problems, but in a way, it is a big win
for sure.
In certain aspects, and when I say that, I want to say it's a big win for Herm Edwards in his tenure. Depending on what happens with the rest of the year and how the debate goes when the season ends, because up until this point, he had never started out a season with a 1-0 Pac-12 conference record.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes. So in that way, that's the only way, in my opinion, it was a big game, because if he would have lost that, I think that it would really, at the end of the year, if they are in the position where they don't know what they're going to do with
Mhm.
him, they will reflect back to that first game.
Mhm.
So I think it was big for that reason.
Yeah,
But other than that, they showed some improvement, and that was kind of what my story for takeaways with the game were. I mean, yeah, there were some improvements, but is it enough to really commit and be like, yes, they turned the corner?
Mm-mm.
I think that there's still a little bit more that needs to be proven. I especially don't necessarily feel that way with the penalties. And I kind of noticed it being a trend too with the penalties, or not the penalties, with the turnovers. The turnovers really starting around when Pac-12 play starts.
Yeah.
Normally a little bit later though into the season, with the turnovers starting to get worse, and then they improve. This year they started right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit different.
Maybe they got that out of their way, out of their system already.
Maybe. So that was a little bit different. But the penalties, that was just really uncharacteristic overall.
Yeah.
So possibly it's done, but possibly it's not. You know, the thing that makes me question it too is what one of the coaches said at the press conferences last week. You know, we have to remember the age group that we're dealing with, and you know, like it doesn't necessarily make you feel the most confident that you're really hammering it home, like how disciplined they have to be.
Speaking of discipline, was this the Devils' first targeting call that we've seen a Sun Devil get thrown out of a game this year with BJ Green?
No.
Or was there? Oh yeah, first game, right?
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, first game.
Tyler Johnson, but it was in the first half of that game, so he was able to come back.
That's right.
And play in the second game against UNLV.
So yeah, we saw BJ Green get a targeting call for a high hit on the quarterback. I personally don't think it was his fault. It's definitely, I understand the call. I'm not saying it wasn't a targeting call because he did lead with his helmet, but it's such a hard thing, and this is a constant theme in not just college football, but the NFL too. It's so hard for these players that are screaming at quarterbacks that they need to get pressure, especially for a young guy like BJ Green who's a freshman, to step back and not come at with full force. And I mean, these players have been tackling like that their entire lives. You know, it's hard to break routines like that. So I don't think it was a discipline thing. I think it was just an unfortunate thing that does need to be cleaned up. But again, he's a young guy. And yeah, it sucks. But targeting's part of the game now, so
it is.
Gotta get used to it.
And you know, there's just I feel like kind of a lot to take away, but kind of not a lot to take away at the same time.
For sure.
It's like, we saw improvements in this area. We saw improvements in this area. But just because we saw these improvements doesn't mean it's necessarily there to stay.
Yeah, definitely.
Because these were things that they struggled with in 2 of the first 3 games.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was just a fluky one-off thing in the first game. It actually almost like increasingly, it was like, one was good, improved, or one was bad, and then it improved, and then not good at all. So it's like,
the inconsistency does scare me. One stat that I would love to bring up right now is Case Hatch broke his second face mask of the year already.
I saw that.
That was awesome. He was one of the standout guys for me in that game. Not only he had a couple big catches, but I mean, as a true fullback that plays the position like a fullback,
are so underrated.
They're so awesome. He had that great block on one of Jaden's long runs in the fourth quarter. He pulled a couple times on the screen plays. I think he was one of the blockers that threw a monster block when Elijah Badger scored. And it's just so fun seeing big 44 run out with full force and go catch a small corner out in the middle of the field. He is a guy that can bring that juice because you saw that swagger kind of start developing even in the second quarter, but mostly the third and fourth with Rashad White's hurdle. After that, you saw the bench going crazy. And that's something that this Sun Devil team, I think, might need to have all the time going forward. That's why the fast starts are so important for them, because when they get this juice and the momentum and the swagger going, that's just how ASU football plays. You know, they feed off that energy. And when there's more people in the stadium, which, my God, guys, come on, go to the games. I mean, we need more energy.
Yeah.
That's what they feed off. So we saw, I mean, it was a turning point, even when they were only up 10.
Well, anyone who would have watched the BYU could see how
much it
the
affected
Cougars fed off the energy and how much it impacted ASU's ability to do anything.
For sure. A slow start on defense for the third quarter was one of the only things I saw late game. They were able to run all over the Devils. They were losing the battle in the trenches. Broussard is so talented. He's still kind of getting his footing under him, but there was a lot of designed runs or designed quarterback runs that really got to the Sun Devils defense. And I don't know if that was just losing the battle in the trenches or stunts that weren't working for the D line. But that is concerning because a team like Utah and a team like UCLA, for that matter, with DRT, if he's healthy, will absolutely run all over you. And a design quarterback run against a team that doesn't know how to stop an inside zone is concerning.
Yeah. Well, we ready to talk about the question of the day?
Yeah, we shared our thoughts.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your guys'
So we're
thoughts.
going to post it right now. We want to know how you guys feel about the Sun Devils' performance on Saturday. Feel free to drop us a reply.
Negative, positive.
We're discussing it later on.
Yeah, we'll respond to all of them. So let us know what you guys thought. And it's good to have some input from somebody outside of PHNX because I want to know how not only the fans are feeling, but the critics of ASU are feeling.
I don't really care how the critics are feeling. It's like, who cares? What is it? Rain, go away.
Yeah. Lil Wayne reference. We love that on the PHNX Sun Devils podcast. You know what else we love? DraftKings Sportsbook.
We do.
Oh my God. I almost hit a stinker of I shouldn't say stinker. It would have been stinky money. It would have been. No, that doesn't work, Jacob.
I lost money this weekend.
Yeah, I had a nice same game parlay on the Packer game that just fell short because of a couple Aaron Rodgers passing yards. But if you want to get in on the action on these same game parlays or anything, head over to DraftKings Sportsbook, download that app. It's an official sports betting partner of the NFL. I couldn't get that on. I'm usually so good at these. I know. I'm sorry. Bet just $1 on any NFL game and receive $150 in free bets when you use code PHNX. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL was 1943, so I'd say this is a no-brainer with their no-brainer offers. If you download that app and bet $1 on a game, somebody just has to score in these promotions that they have. They're super fun. And as I said, these same game parlays are great, and they have insurance where if you bet up to $25, or if you bet $25, they'll give you up to $25 back if you lose. So download it now. Use promo code PHNX to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place just $1 or more on any football game this week. 21 plus, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more details. I love that app. Use it so much. Use it too much.
How do you feel having to read that whole disclaimer at the end?
I actually treat it as a game.
It's like a mumble jumble.
Yeah, but I've got, my pride and joy is eligibility restrictions apply. I put so much effort into that.
Dude, I can hardly speak English without reading things.
Yeah, well, I think it helps me.
If you've heard me
I stutter a lot,
I
too.
have a really hard time even talking sometimes. And then if I try to read, I'm like borderline dyslexic because I don't see certain things like they're not there or the letter moves or like I don't know what happens, but what I'm reading is not the words that are actually there.
For some reason, you saying that made me think of Clippy, the Microsoft Word paperclip that was dancing around. Is that guy still there?
No, I think he died a long time ago.
He died?
I'm pretty sure they killed him.
Clippy passed away, everybody. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. What's his name? Bill Gates? Is that who invented Microsoft?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he killed him.
Oh, man.
Bill Gates is a murderer. He killed Clippy.
Clippy didn't kill himself in jail. He was assassinated.
He was murdered.
Okay.
They unbent him.
He's not even a paperclip anymore. He's just a piece
just
of wire.
A metal rod.
Oh, and he doesn't have eyes. All right. Tell good people what they can find on Go PHNX. I don't have a good transition from Clippy to Go PHNX, so let them know what you can find there.
Well, if you go over to PHNX, you can find some awesome content, not just from your team covering the Sun Devils, but covering all of your sports around State 48. And I am working on a series right now that kind of is breaking down everything that is going into why Arizona State is always going to be considered a sleeping giant, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's a good read.
Yes, and it's going to be I believe it's like a 7-part series.
Love it.
Is what I have it as right now.
It's a really good idea.
It's gonna really go over some different areas that are not explored by most people because they're not the things you would typically think of, but they all do really play a part.
Yeah, and at Go PHNX, it's not just a part, or it's not just about the content. You get a bunch of, you're part of the family, and it's way more fun to be a sports fan here in the Valley when you're a part of a culture like Go PHNX or a PHNX. So go over to gophnx.com. You get an annual membership for $60 and you get a free t-shirt. Speaking of t-shirts, 20% off on all Cardinals shirts right now is the deal of the week. Deal of the week is always hot. If you want to check out the merch, go to phnxlocker.com. Join that Discord, hang out with us. I talk a lot in the Discord, but I don't get a lot back because I think people are scared of me.
I will post something, and then if nobody responds to me right away, then I just assume nobody is answering me, and I just absolutely don't check. And then the next thing I know, I haven't checked for like 2 days, and I forget, and I'm like, oh, whoops.
I'm pretty active in the bets chat, but that's only so people can keep tabs on me. To make sure that I'm not lying to them about what I bet on. I'll before the slate starts, I'll be like, these are my bets, and then I come back and I'm like, oh.
Hey, I sent you a video, didn't I, of like all my bets I had on Lauren? Yeah, I didn't lie.
Yeah,
that was a lot.
I love it. We love it. We love supporting our friends. All right, well, let's get into other ASU sports.
So
we've been updating the people on soccer and volleyball. We have a new sport coming soon. Not a new sport, it happens every year, but for this year, hockey's going to be back again. Their last year at Oceanside, so that'll be interesting. But let's start with soccer.
Yes. All right, so Sun Devils soccer ranked their highest they've ever been ranked last week in the AP poll. I didn't see anything yet this week, so I'm not sure where they're at, but over the weekend, they opened up Pac-12 play on the road against Washington, where they tied 2-2. They're back at home right now, preparing to take on USC Thursday at 6 o'clock. Volleyball had a bit of a rough weekend. They opened up Pac-12 play with a 3-2 loss to Arizona.
Marcus Bagley went to that game.
Yes.
If Marcus Bagley goes to those games, you guys should go to those games. They're fun.
But what I will say is both teams, they played very, very hard until the end in both games. It was a 3-2 loss to Arizona on Thursday and a 3-2 loss to Oregon on Sunday. Those two are teams that could have in the past previously swept Arizona State 3-0. So to see the Devils put up 2 at least against them is still a testament to the improvement that they are making right now.
For sure.
And last but not least, like you said, puck drops on Saturday for Sun Devil hockey. They take on UMass Lowell at home. Craig Morgan, our in-house hockey expert, I can't speak English, we already established that one, will be on the show later this week to give us a little bit of a rundown on what we can expect from the Devils on the ice.
That's gonna be fun because
it is.
I know, at least for me, I'm a huge hockey guy, and I'm sure some people enjoy watching the sport, but they don't know a lot about the ASU program. They're really damn good. They're a really deep team. They played 20 games at home out of their 36 this year at Oceanside. The last year they'll be there before the big arena. So get out to some of those games. October 2nd, 7 p.m. puck drop. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for the season.
Dude, I was at Cactus Sports today to do an interview that I needed to do over there, and they had some super sick gold hockey jerseys on sale that were marked down, and I really wanted to buy one, but I just cannot afford to right now. But they're so sick. So, if you're looking for hockey merchandise, get your hook up there.
Cactus Sports.
Get ready. Yeah, get ready for. Because I know that they have. Because I know that they have like
Good
all the
prices.
Different jerseys.
Oh, nice.
So like
those helmets.
Yeah,
are so sweet.
But they have like all the different like hockey jerseys though. Like they have gold ones, they have the old black ones. Oh, they have some of the old basketball jerseys still for the black throwback ones that ASU wore. They have the James Harden jerseys. Like, they just carry a lot of stuff like that, you know. So like if you're looking to get your jerseys, that was not like a paid promotion.
Yeah, you know, it'd be super.
But
cool.
I was standing there looking at it like I want to buy this damn hockey jersey.
You know, it'd be super cool. So you know how like baseball hats, like wearing your team's baseball hat is like okay,
wearing your team's hockey
helmet or like a football helmet. What if people just did that as like?
It is. That's why you have to mount the 2 beer holders to them and put the
That'd be so sweet. Can you just imagine like somebody like walking down the street like, "What's up? I'm just repping my squad." They're just full, not even full gear, just the helmet. That'd be.
It might keep people safe. Like, it's just
we all should just walk around with helmets on now.
You should wear a helmet so you don't break anything else.
I know, right? I just should wear a helmet. Well, there's other reasons I should wear a helmet.
Any other AFC sports that we want to bring up before we head on to a quick
That's
UCLA?
all we've got going on right
Yeah.
now. Golf is on a little bit of a hiatus. They're back at home preparing for a tournament that starts, I believe, this upcoming weekend. So no news on them right now. It might be a little bit later than this upcoming weekend, but I'm not sure.
I hope the triathlon people are sleeping.
And yes, triathlon is hibernating still, as would I be.
All right, well, let's go on.
Maybe not though. I'm borderline a crackhead. Sometimes you don't sleep also, so you never know.
Let's move on to UCLA. Some big news. I don't really know if it's news yet, but ASU football tweeted out this picture of Chip. He's back, baby. Finally. So I'm assuming he will play against UCLA.
If they're teasing us, that's
that would be
just
so
the
mean.
sickest, meanest, cruelest, not April Fool's joke you could ever pull.
Do you think that Rashad is going to start and be the number one option on against UCLA, even with Chip back? Because he looked really, really good.
I think they might put Chip. In initially and then switch out to Rashad White. You
think Chip will start?
I think so.
I think they'll go with Rashad just one to ease Chip back into it, but maybe not. I'm not sure. But
because I think they're going to want to switch it up.
To me, I think Rashad White. I mean, he's NFL ready. Mel Kiper has him number 4 on the top 4 running backs to get or top 5 running backs to get drafted in this upcoming draft. And he's just found his momentum lately. I mean, he's always been a super talented guy, obviously, but I mean, lately he just had such a good game on Saturday, and I'm really excited to see the change of pace come back with Chip because as we said, they both add different things. So and it doesn't matter how much either of them play. I'm sure Daniel Ngata will definitely get some run too because he looked pretty damn good on Saturday as well. But I'm definitely excited to see the dynamic back because this is what Sun Devils fans were excited for before the season started, was that running back core and how deep and talented it was.
Yeah, and also fans are starting to be able to see a little bit more from Jaden Daniels now and from the receivers. It's going to be interesting to see because Arizona State has historically had some issues on the road in LA to either USC or UCLA, no matter who they're playing. And, they have a huge squad of kids who have roots in California. A lot of people make the trip to these games. So it's not like at these games there's necessarily that home field crowd noise advantage. I mean, sometimes there is, especially when it's completely packed, when it's like a good year. But that has not been as of recent. But, they just still seem to struggle with it. So there's going to be a lot to look forward to. I'm really interested to see how they're able to kind of attack the offense at this game, or attack their offensive game plan, I should say, and how they're going to execute it. I think it's going to be interesting because you're starting to be able to see what kind of options they have now.
Yeah.
Their main guys are starting to step up. Trainum's back. That's going to be huge. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. The line right now on DraftKings, I believe, is UCLA by 3.5. But this is one of those games where the public will probably ride UCLA, but the sharps will be on ASU. I'm seeing a lot of quote unquote experts predicting ASU to go in there and win. But to me, I think they're really even. I was super high on UCLA before the season, and they looked like it the first couple games, but now there's just not that same oomph. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson is shaken up a little bit, so we'll see how that affects their team.
So his shoulder looked like his shoulder was pretty banged up after his time in the last game. I don't know what UCLA is planning to do, like if they're gonna keep it under wraps until the day of the game. I have no idea. But he has the ability to absolutely be a pain in the neck for the defense out there if he does play.
Well, I think he's going to need to run the ball a bunch because, I mean,
clearly his shoulder's messed up,
Yeah,
so he ain't going to be throwing
exactly. And the polarity between the two pass defenses. UCLA is one of the worst pass defenses in the nation, giving up around, I think, 330 yards a game. And ASU's only given up like 130 a game, one of the nation's best. And I don't know if that says a lot about the opponents ASU's played, but I think it says more about the corners. Even without Chase Lucas, Jack Jones stepped up in a big way on Saturday. He had some big hits, a bunch of passes defended, and the young corner stepped up as well. And the pass rush was getting home most of the time. And yeah, I think this secondary is genuinely good, and it's not just the ASU opponents playing down to playing lower than they should be.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I think that you have to look at ASU's defense and who comprises the members of those defense and how much experience they all have as a whole. And I really think that speaks to the numbers that they're putting up in terms of that. So realistically, the only terrible performance Arizona State has had defensively this year has been against BYU, and that really was not incredibly terrible like defensively of a performance.
No.
That was more offensively, like
for sure.
defense only can do so much, but I mean
and on paper this matchup is almost identical. The teams, they both don't throw a ton. They're both averaging around 200 rushing yards a game. ASU has a slight edge at 210.
They both lost that third non-conference game that they were supposed to win.
But again, the difference between the pass defense, I think, is going to be the difference in the game. But we'll talk more about our predictions moving forward. Brittany was able to get out to some practice recently, so we have some stuff to show you guys. Do you want to talk about what you were seeing out there?
Yeah, so they don't allow you to catch much of practice. It's about 10 minutes, so I really just watched them go through some drills, and they really were working on attacking the run and focusing on the run, because I think that they know that they can go to the passing option if they need to, but I think that they want to be able to run the ball as well. So it looked like that was what they were focusing on, and
What was the vibe out there?
It was very tight.
Aside from football, like it was just like
tight
as in what? Like the players were tight, or it was cool?
No, it was like it was very not.
Oh, it
fun.
Was.
It was miserable.
Why?
It was just like it was pretty much like
it was hot.
It was like get in, get your stuff.
Oh,
get
I
out.
see what you mean.
Like,
it's like, been strict with the restrictions.
Yeah, it was like that's not my style. I'm like, I make a lot of mistakes. I don't pay attention half the time. I'm just living my life, chilling, and then people are like, "Oh, you're like getting all mad at me," and I'm like, "My bad, man. I'm just existing."
Well, let's get into some of the.
Why am I existing?
It's just turned into an existential podcast.
It really is.
Let's get into the audio that we have from Herm and some of the B-roll that Brittany was able to get.
As far as our opponent this week, we go on the road, play a very good UCLA football team. Chip's done a nice job of building this program down there. They have a senior defense. Most of these guys are all back. They don't allow you to run the ball at all. They're very good against the run. They score a lot of points on offense. They're averaging about almost 40 points a game. And play good third down defense. They have a dynamic quarterback, can throw it, can run it. Have two big bruising runners. They run the football. Very, very complimentary football team. They don't allow you to run, but they can run the ball, and that says something. They can throw the ball downfield. Very explosive in the passing game. Got a good punt returner. They're a team that plays well, and they're on a roll right now. They're playing really good. So we got to muster up our ability to stay focused. We have a lot of players that have come from Los Angeles, and they have to get their minds set to go back home. And a lot of times they get excited about going back home, but they have to keep their poise and make sure that this thing doesn't get away from them. And I think we have enough guys now that have been there numerous times in LA that hopefully they can keep their emotions in check.
So like we talked about with them going to LA, he ended with that, I should say.
Yeah.
But like we had talked about with the keeping their emotions in check, a lot of those guys do have experience now. They already went to USC and had a meltdown during COVID. They played UCLA last year. Was that game at home or on the road? I can't remember.
It was at home, I believe.
That's what I thought, but they still struggled.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like they might have gotten a little bit intimidated in that game in terms of it being an LA team. You know, a lot of them played in that 2019 game on the road against UCLA where they absolutely got destroyed early on. And it was after they had just come in off a loss to USC, I believe, or maybe it was vice versa. That was just super depressing. You know, you look at what they're going to do or what they have the potential to do this weekend, and it really could set the tone in terms of being a turning point for this team going forward with the mentality and like, no, we buckled down. Like, yeah, maybe we were messing around a little bit undisciplined. We had trouble with this at the beginning, XYZ, but make no mistake, we're out here, we're doing the right thing. We're practicing hard every day. We're playing the way we're supposed to play, and we want this as bad as the fans want to see it.
Definitely.
So,
and to your point about going into LA, I mean, a lot of these players have been to the Rose Bowl already, and seen that environment. But it's going to be a packed house. Going into the Rose Bowl against the number 20 team in the nation, it's a big test. And if you look at the schedule, this will be, for better or for worse, the game that Sun Devils fans probably remember the most, because they will either beat a top 25 UCLA team on the road and, you know, put their claim in for the best team in the Pac-12 South, or they'll lay an egg, not play well, and then there isn't a lot to look forward to as the toughest opponent. I mean, USC's at home. They go on the road to Utah in 2 weeks. That's going to be a tough test. But other than that, I mean, Washington maybe is going to be a hard game.
And in my opinion, also, in no circumstance will even a close game, if it's a loss, be good enough.
No, definitely
because
not.
Herm in his tenure has had too many games that were close games where he ended up on the wrong side of that record. So I think it's all or nothing in terms of it's got to be a win. It's not like if Arizona State, like, let's say they're playing Oregon this week instead of UCLA, right?
Yeah.
And Oregon's ranked what, number 3?
Yeah, number 3.
Still, okay. If ASU goes and plays Oregon after all of the issues that they had been having in the previous weeks, right? And they had cleaned it up against Colorado, but they go and they have an outstanding performance against Oregon and just blow things out of the water. I think that is a significantly better win than if it's UCLA. But also, if they go into a game against Oregon, who's ranked number 3,
and lose a close game,
and it's 3 points, it's also an okay loss
for sure,
compared to where if you go in and lose a close game against this UCLA team, it's not an okay loss.
Yeah, if this team had beaten BYU, they're ranked higher than UCLA right now. By far. And a lot of the ASU players and some Sun Devils fans believe this team should be in the top 25, as their only losses to a number 13 team. And UCLA's losses to Fresno State. Yeah, and I was really a little bit confused, or I don't want to say confused, but shocked with how far ASU dropped after that loss to BYU, because it's not like BYU was unranked. They were ranked 2 spots below Arizona State. Yeah, there's just so many teams that need to be fit in the top 25. And we'll get a better idea of what it is when it's not the AP ranking and it's a CFP ranking that is coming in. But, I mean, as I said, this is going to be the game that Sun Devils fans look back at and be like, oh, that sucked, or oh, that was the turning point. It could potentially, it's going to be a turning point regardless. It's going to be a turning point, yes, but I think if you are going to say this could be a game that fans look back and say that sucked, I think there would have to be a plethora of things that would have to go wrong to make it worse than BYU. Or I mean, I think genuinely, if AFC plays their best football, they don't win by double digits. They win by 4. And so I could see them playing a really good game, but then Dorian Robinson-Thompson running for a touchdown with no time left or something. Yeah. I could see that happening. So, and I think, Herm also mentioned it. Chip Kelly has really finally taken this team and made it his team. I mean, a lot of people, when Chip Kelly very first took over at UCLA, he was not doing very good. They struggled with recruiting.
And he's finally been able to get the kids he wants to come in, the talent he wants that fit his scheme and his style, and really put them in and get them to thrive. And everyone's finally being able to see what he's doing after he's left Oregon and kind of made his return, I guess, full circle back to the pack. So it's not like this is going to be an easy cakewalk game. I know a lot of people think oh, ASU should beat UCLA, but no, this should be a close game. This should be a good game. But this also, in order to, I guess, if Arizona State wants to go to games beyond just the Sun Bowl, you have to. This is a game you should also win.
Must win for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, these Pac-12 After Dark games are killing me. It is so bad for my mental
They're
health.
wild.
Because
Oregon State beat USC, dog. What?
And the worst part is they end at 10:30 or 11 sometimes, and then you sit there and there's no chance you're going to bed, especially after our post-game show when we're all either fired up or fired up in the wrong way. It's hard to go to bed after these games. So
yeah.
I want a day game. I want a day game soon so I can get some nice rest on a Saturday night.
I don't like day games though, and I'm probably one of the only people who doesn't really like. Okay, unless they're away, but even then I don't really like. No, I don't know. If they're away, it's okay because I'm watching on TV. But I don't like day games because I just feel like it takes away from my time to like go do a full day of shenanigans.
I feel you.
If that makes sense.
I feel you. Yeah, definitely feel you.
So I gotta get up earlier, get dressed earlier,
so
start
what do you think?
Earlier.
What do you think's gonna happen to the line of this game? Do you think that people are gonna be betting on UCLA right now or ASU? Do you think the line's gonna go up or down?
Honestly, I think it's gonna stay a pretty close game. I don't see anybody becoming more than like minus 175 max.
Yeah. So right now, the only reason why UCLA is favored is because most of the time in sports betting, the home team gets 3 points. So right now they're saying they're favored by a half a point essentially, which is I think is very true for this game. But yeah, anything else to add before we sign off?
No, I think that's about it. We're gonna be having some content with Greg Powers coming to you soon, the ASU hockey coach. Like we said, Craig Morgan will be on our show on Friday. We're excited to be bringing that to you. And yeah, make sure you go to PHNX.
Yeah, go to gophnx.com.
Check it out. Yeah, follow us on social media.
Yeah, follow us, PHNX_Sun Devils, PHNX_sports. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code PHNX. Get your free $150 when you place just $1 or more on any football game this week. Get those same game parlays rolling.
Do it.
Tap that.
Do it.
That's what you're telling people to do?
I'm being annoying. Like if I was like annoying.
Oh yeah.
Do it.
DraftKings.
Do it.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. 2 audio episodes coming up before Friday live show. It's gonna be a blast. Join us then, and we'll see you later. Peace.